Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to make some vanilla sourdough discard donuts, and then we're going to do some Gouda and salami melts. Right now we have our kids home for spring break, so we are constantly going through food and snacks. Let me give my discard a little stir. So we're going to measure in for our donut base 1 cup of sourdough discard, but I always like to give it a nice little stir so that it doesn't, like all the hooch and the nice liquids that are get mixed in there. So we get a nice even. We need 1 cup. And it doesn't matter if it's active or not. We're not using it for its rising agents. We're using it more so we can discard and feed our starter and for the delicious flavor. So we've got 1 cup of sourdough discard. I'm going to put this over here. We'll feed him in a little bit. And then we're going to add in 1 cup of milk to our sourdough discard. And then 1/4 cup of melted butter, which is the same as a 1/2 stick. And I'm just going to use my spatula here, and we're just going to mix the milk and everything into the discard because we want it to kind of dilute it and make it nice and easy to mix our flour in. So we've got our milk, our discard, our butter, and then we're going to add in 1 egg. Get these 2 out of my way. So we're going to add in our 1 egg. I'm going to pop my yolk with my spatula, and then I'm just going to give it a nice whip to kind of mix it into the batter. The egg is going to work with the baking powder to make these a nice and kind of puffy donut. Okay. And then we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So 1, 2. And we're going to use a little bit vanilla later for some of the glazes that we're going to be making. So we'll mix in our vanilla into our batter. And then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So make sure you use baking powder, not baking soda. Otherwise, your donuts will be really puffy and have a bitter taste to them. So we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And then we're going to add in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Pour it in there. And then we're going to give this a nice stir and incorporate it because we want to make sure that baking powder is really mixed into the liquid so that it will be evenly dispersed into our donut dough. So, nice and easy. And now we're going to add in our sugar. This is going to give our donuts a lovely sweetness, but not too sweet. We're going to add in 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Let's see, just get a little bit more. Perfect. And we're going to mix that. I always wait until the very end to add my flour because once you add the flour in, it's really hard to evenly mix in any of the other ingredients. So we're mixing up. You can see the batter has actually gotten a little poofy. That is the baking powder reacting with the sourdough discard. And you can tell it's having like a reaction with each other, which will make these for delicious donuts. And then we're going to add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You want to make sure you're using all-purpose flour, not bread flour. Bread flour will give you a really dense donut. So we're going to add in 1 and 2. So we've got our 2 cups of donuts. Now I'm going to be using 2 cups of flour for our donuts. I'm going to be using a donut maker, which is preheating. If you don't have a donut maker, but a donut tray at home, you'd want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So I'm going to move these 2 out of the way before we mix in our flour. Okay. So we're going to mix it in until it's just combined. We don't want to over whip it because we want to have a nice, soft, tender donut. And sometimes when you over mix, it can lead to a stiffer dough. There we go. And this is the base to our lovely sourdough discard donuts. Now, today we used vanilla extract in it, but you can also use almond extract if you have it, because that leads to just such a lovely flavor as well. Okay, we've got our batter all mixed up. So I have my donut maker over here preheated. Let me get a nice spoon because it's easier to scoop up batter into my donut maker with a metal spoon than it is a silicone spatula. And then I'm going to give it a nice spray down. And we're going to scoop in our batter into this. The trick is not to overfill your donut hole or donut thing, because if you do, they will like just poof out everywhere. So I like to just, one scoop is about all you need for each one. And you don't put it just right over. You don't have to worry about trying to make it perfectly around the little donut hole thing there, because that will, when you push the mold and it starts to puff up, they will make the holes there themselves.
So you have a question. Have you tried to make apple fritters?
Yes, I have. We actually have a video posted of our apple fritters, and I think we also have the recipe card posted for it. So we have made apple fritters, and they were delicious. My kids love them. But you can check on the link on our page there. I think we did that maybe a couple weeks ago. Okay, so now we have them cooking and baking. They take about 2 to 3 minutes. So while they are cooking, we are going to make our grilled cheeses. We'll start on it. So we have our sourdoughs from last night. This is our traditional sourdough. And then we had a lovely chive and Dubliner cheese, which is very similar to it's like a cheddar cheese. So let's go with ours. I'm going to cut off. So we've got 1, 2 slices for our first sandwich. And then we're going to use ours right over here. So this is the chive and Dubliner cheese, and it smells so lovely. You can really smell that, like kind of that green onion smell that chives have.
You have a question? Was the baby good at the baseball game this year?
The baby was good. The toddler was not. So, I feel like it's always like you can never win sometimes. Jack actually did really great, even for it. Luckily, Vanderbilt's baseball team was really good, and we completely dominated the other team. That they did, what is it, like the mercy rule, where they ended after the 6th inning if you're leading by more than 10 runs. 7th inning. So it ended a little bit early, which I was thankful for. But yes, there was always somebody who was, he got really sad. Teddy got really sad when we wouldn't let him have 10 packets of ketchup on his hot dog. And he just didn't understand that. And, I love my ketchup too, but not 10 packets worth. And on top of the fact that his grandmother had just bought him a brand new white Vandy Boys jersey. Not the smartest thing to buy right before you eat hot dogs. So he was wearing this nice white baseball jersey, and he had so much ketchup everywhere. It was definitely a moment. There we go. And we're going to put our cheese. So I'm laying, this is some Gouda. We're going to have Gouda and salami. And I'm going to layer it. The trick is make sure your cheese doesn't overflow your bread. Otherwise, it will, we're doing regular Gouda, and then we're going to do smoked Gouda on the top. Otherwise, it will melt down and burn on our thing, and we don't want that. And then we're going to give it a nice layer of salami. With the meats, it doesn't matter if it overflows. It's just with the cheeses, because the cheeses will burn down on your griddle. There we go. We'll do 3 on that one. And then we're going to do smoked Gouda on top. So delicious. Gouda is one of my favorite cheeses, and it's great for grilled cheeses because it has a lovely melting point. Perfect. And then I think our first round of donuts are just about ready to be done. So let's have a look at them. That's the one thing that's nice about this is it doesn't take long to cook them up. Woo! Look at that. Pretty close. I'm just going to seal off a little bit. Oh, you know what? They're nice and firm. They've got a nice golden color to it. So let's just take off. You can see if you put them a little too much, they just kind of overflow. So we've got our first batch of donuts coming out. And then we're going to do a glaze with them. But I'm going to make sure I put even less in there this time. Okay, we'll do a nice little coating. And then we're going to spoon in our donut batter. There we go. And these are going to give you a old-fashioned kind of cake donut. So not like a yeast donut, but more of the old-fashioned donuts. I said, I know one of these times I'm going to make one of the sourdough donuts where you actually let it rise and stuff like that. But my kids were like, oh, can we have mini donuts today? And I was like, sure. We can pop those out.
Got a question. What brand is your donut maker?
It is a good old Sunbeam. I got it when I was in college. And I got it from, I believe, Walmart or Target back in the day.
College, so long.
Not that long ago. I was in college from 2006 to 2009. I did it in 3 years. And I got it, I think, in 2008 or 2009. Okay, let me put, for one of these, I'm going to put a little bit of sun-dried tomato paste on it because I think it will be delicious. And then the other one we'll leave plain. I'm gonna make sure my bread is facing the right way. There we go. Okay, our grilled cheeses are assembled. I'm gonna turn on my skillet to about a 6, and we're gonna let them start cooking. And while those are cooking, we're going to make our glazes.
And you got a question? What's in the donut dough?
The donut dough is just flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, melted butter, vanilla, sourdough discard, eggs, and milk. So not much. They're kind of just like a vanilla cake donut, but delicious. Okay, we're going to make 3 glazes because St. Patrick's Day is coming up and my kids are into everything St. Patrick right now. We have like blankets and we have little tomten over there, which are like, there's the Swedish version of a gnome. And we really celebrate holidays here. We're not Irish, but my sister-in-law is Irish, so that's close enough. Okay, we're going to start with our base. Okay, we've got some powdered sugar in each one. I'm going to put half a teaspoon of vanilla in one. That's going to be my vanilla glaze. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of almond extract in one. That's going to be my almond frosting, which is delicious. It's got like an amaretto flavor. And then my last glaze is going to be lemon. So we're going to first zest a little bit of a lemon in it, and then we'll squeeze in some lemon juice. And then, of course, we'll add a little bit of cream to it. Always zest your lemon before you cut into it, because if you try to zest it after you've cut into it, it's really hard. There we go. And I like to use fresh lemon juice over a lemon extract or like the lemon juice you can buy in a bottle. It just is sweeter, less chemically tasting.
You have a question. You listed off the ingredients, but is there going to be some place where they're going to be like listed like a recipe card?
Yes, we will. Typically takes me a little while to get the recipe cards posted, but I will post a recipe card up where you can do it. But we always post our live videos on the link through our page, so you can always go back and reference it. Just because it takes me I promise recipe cards and I will get there, but sometimes it takes me a little while because, I have 5 kids and they are, keep me on my toes. Okay, so we're starting with just the juice from half of a lemon in here. Now we're going to go through and we're going to add about a tablespoon of cream to each one. And then, since it's St. Patrick's Day, we're going to add a little bit of color. So for my vanilla, I'm going to do a bit of green. And I'm going to keep my almond white, because we want to do the flag. And then for the lemon, I'm going to do orange for the flag. And I got to be really careful because I want to use 1 drop red and the rest of yellow, because if you've ever made orange food coloring, it takes like 10 drops yellow to just 1 little drop red. Red goes a long way. And then we're just going to mix this up so that we can dip each of our donuts into our glaze. If we have to add a little bit more liquid in a second, we will. But I will say powdered sugar tends to soak it up really well with very little. Look at that beautiful, vibrant glaze. And this is just a basic glaze that you can use on cakes or anything. The lemon adds a lovely flavor to it. I always like to flavor it because just powdered sugar and milk is me. But with the almond extract or the vanilla, it gives you that nice little sweetness and this hint. Let me get 2 more forks. I'll get 1 more fork because I can do the white and then I can move that into the green. So we'll mix these up and then we'll start dipping our donuts. In just a second, we will do the first flip of our grilled cheeses. I'm going to put a little bit more cream in this one since it didn't have as much lemon juice. Let me get my spatula out.
And to get orange, what's the ratio?
So it's about 1 drop of red to anywhere between 5 and 10 drops of yellow, just depending on how big your drops are. But you use a lot more yellow to red. So always start with just 1 drop of red because red really, really gives it a big kick. Okay, so we did our first flip on our melts. Remember, we do 4 flips on it. So don't worry about, ooh, perfect. Much better this time. I didn't overfill them. Nice and hot. I will say, always use a little fork or, fork to pop them out because they are like really hot coming out of these things. And now we're going to give a nice little spray down again of our things. And then we're going to dip into the glaze, our donuts into the glaze. So let's fill this up so these can start cooking. And beautiful. And these are mini donuts, so they go really, really fast. They're, mini, so you can eat more of them, right? And beautiful. Perfect. Okay. Let's get that shut. I'm going to wipe my finger off here and turn down our skillet. We're just a second, and we're going to give this a flip to start the nice browning size. There we go. So we'll do 1 more flip on all of these, just 1 more time. And now let's finish up whipping up these glazes so we can start to dip some of them. So this, you see, is a perfect runny consistency. So I'm just going to add a bit more liquid until we get this to the right consistency. Shouldn't need much. There we go. And then we'll be able to dip our donuts. Okay, now to the green. You see, we just used, I think, 2 drops of green, and it's a very vibrant color. There. Mix it up. And add a bit of cream. And I like to add more cream as per se, more extract, because you don't want it to be too strong with the extract flavor. So just a half a teaspoon for a small amount of glaze does wonderful. Okay, let's start to dip some of these donuts. I'll bring it a little bit here. And so to dip them, all you have to do It's not hard. We're just going to stick our donut in, and then and then the warmth of the donut will help it melt down over the sides. There we go. And you could cover these in sprinkles if you wanted to. But I'm not a huge fan of sprinkles on my donuts. I feel like they just don't have the right texture. Beautiful. And let's do some white. Although it's funny, the white doesn't really show up as white. But we want the flavor of that almond in there. Might double dip the white ones in just a second. There we go. Now let's look at our grilled cheeses real quick, and then we'll dip the rest of them. And the nice thing about this is the glaze gives the donuts a nice pop of flavor. So we have a vanilla base, but we don't, like, the glaze will give you that nice pop of flavor. And here, we're going to dip a little bit more. There we go. But they are very pretty. And they're excited because I feel like anytime you can make something fun and colorful, the kids love it. There we go. Coat it. And you only want to really dip one side because, glaze packs a nice punch of sugar in it. So you don't need to fully coat your donut, just one side and let it drip down. Let's get this one into the almond. I will say the almond or the lemon is typically my favorite, but the kids love just the good old vanilla and the almond. Okay, let's check on our donuts here. Just a few more minutes. I want to have them a little bit more golden. Luckily, if you open it up early, it does nothing wrong with it. So let's need about a minute more on there. But I think our grilled cheese melts over here are just about finished. Let's see if we have the nice, lovely, perfect. Look at that nice golden crust that we wanted. Beautiful. And this one had the Dubliner cheese in it, so it kind of crisped up even nicer than the traditional one. There we go. So I've got my skillet turned off. I'm going to put them here. Beautiful. So these are our lovely grilled cheeses made from our fresh sourdough bread that we had last night.
So you have a question? What's in the frosting?
The frosting is, so we have 3 different types. It is just powdered sugar, cream, and then the green one we put vanilla extract, the white one we put almond extract in, and the orange one we put lemon zest and lemon juice. So it will give us 3 different flavors in our donuts, but with the same base. And that's always nice because you don't have to make a bunch of different bases. So same thing, like you could do a chocolate base, melt some chocolate, add some powdered sugar, do a simple chocolate glaze, and that would work well. There we go. Nice and hot. I think we have enough to make one more batch of donuts. So we'll scoop these in and then we will glaze those. But they're super easy to make and super simple. If you were doing this in a donut tray, because not everybody has a donut maker, but if you have a donut baking sheet, you can just, you would just kind of squeeze them out into the donut shape, and then you'd bake at 350 for about 15 minutes. And then you could glaze them when they're hot out of the oven. And it would pretty much very similar taste. The donut maker, I feel like, just gets them out to you a little bit quicker than baking them in the oven. There we go. So we've got ours. So I made about 20 donuts. I have my hands in nice things. And now let's dip these. So any of them ones that, to make them more beautiful, you can just peel off the ones right there. And then we're going to dip. So you're just going to slide it in. And you want to do the glazing while the donuts are still hot because it won't melt as nicely on a cold donut. We'll do another orange one. Just pick off some of that right there. Beautiful. And we're going to slide it in, and then we'll let it drizzle down. Now we'll do some white. Let me wipe my hands because if I do the white with some orange on it, it will get a little bit orange. And if you didn't change all the flavors, like I guess I could do like a half white, half green would work because the vanilla and almond would work together. But I don't want to mix my glaze flavors too much because lemon wouldn't necessarily go well with them. So there's a white one. We'll do one more of the almond. And super simple but super delicious. Now let's do another green one. And it's a fun thing is you can change them up. We have St. Patrick's Day just around the corner. So I was like, we can dye them, make them a little fun, but same great recipe. Could do different colors for Easter or any holiday, really. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We try to do kind of live cooking shows every single day, kind of show you what we're making for our family. And so, we had a lot of fun using our sourdough discard to make these yummy little mini donuts. And of course, our sourdough bread from last night for our sandwiches. Well, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe.